listening to the MycoGeeky Podcast.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the MycoGeeky Podcast, the podcast that goes deep so you can level up your at-home cultivation game. I'm your host, MycoGeeky, and here we are tonight, Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ready to do this. We got a good show for you tonight, something a little different, still in the wheelhouse, still talking about psilocybin-containing mushrooms for the most part, but it's going to be a little bit off the beaten track. And as you foragers know, off the beaten path is exactly where we find all sorts of interesting things, and that will be the case this evening. Before we get going, I want a quick shout out. I always got to give a shout out to the people that help run my Discord. Whether it gets spicy or dicey, or the seas are calm and it's smooth sailing, they're always there to keep things moving, and more importantly, to generate good conversation about cultivating mushrooms around some of the topics that we bring up here on the show. So just want to always show my respect and my appreciation for you guys. Also want a quick shout out all my supporters on Patreon. Every week I'm getting a few more, and I really appreciate you guys. You guys are getting the bills paid and help me pay my gear off, and getting me ever so closer to feeling like I got some extra money, and maybe I can start taking some road trips, maybe do something really fun like go to Telluride. I definitely couldn't afford that one on my own. So if you guys make that happen, I will be forever grateful. So just real quick, that's patreon.com/MycoGeeky. If you love the show, please consider supporting it. If you try to access it through, if you already have Patreon on your phone, on the app, you're going to have to actually go into a browser, look up Patreon MycoGeeky, click the link, open the tab. It won't let you search it through the app, just so you guys know. Anyway, so now that that's all out of the way. So, one of my favorite things is when a fan and I get to talking. It's usually, hey, thanks for doing the show, man. I'm really digging it. And then we get to talking. And at some point in time in the conversation, just the little light bulb goes off, and it's like, okay, I think I'm going to have this guy on. And that's exactly what happened with tonight's guest. His name is Joshua Barnhart. He's an interesting guy, and I'm going to let him, rather than me give you a long bio, we're going to pull him on. He is out and about tonight, so get ready. Here we go. All right, what's up, Josh?
Hey, what's up, MycoGeeky? How you doing, man?
Good, man. So, all right, Joshua Barnhart, you okay with me calling you Josh?
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool, man. All right, so you're not in your living room. If you are, then you got a lot of houseplants. Where are you?
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm out here in North County in Poway, about 15 minutes up into the shrubs and fields and bushes.
Nice.
If it helps, just pretend there's a still air box or flow hood behind me.
I mean, I lived in Los Angeles for 16 years, so that vegetation is looking fairly familiar to me. I got out and about a little bit myself when I was out there, although the truth is, it's not cheap to live in Southern California, so I was usually working my tail off. But anyway, glad to have you. You are the Foray Organizer and Photojournalist for the San Diego Mycological Society. You've been doing that for how long now?
Since November.
Nice. New gig. Pretty new gig. All right. And how are you liking it, man?
I like it a lot. It's a butt ton of responsibility. But of course there's other, mostly like the president and stuff kind of helps me out. And my part of my responsibilities is just kind of checking people into the forays. And we just had our last foray of the season, the Sunday before last, where we went to this place called Ovoids, and it was beautiful, beautiful place. And really only we found some polypores and a few Amanitas and some other things kind of sturdy enough to withstand the few weeks without rain. But beautiful place. I got to go back there. No gyms, none of my favorite mushrooms, but yeah, so that's part of what I do. And I kind of take photographs and take group photos and kind of kind of get them distributed, you know?
That's great. I mean, so I think it's important to mention, we definitely live in a day and age where, the you guys of any organization are very important, right? Like photographically documenting these events and sharing them on social media and putting them on a website. We are so media driven now that it's really important for all these organizations to make sure people know what's up and what's going on. So I'm sure they
Super
value
important.
you in what you're doing, because otherwise it's just some text on a web page, and these days that doesn't cut it.
No, yeah, you gotta get people's attention off of their 2-second TikTok gigs. Not hating, but
Yes, you do. It's hard to compete with those TikTok dance videos, and
Mhm.
yeah, every day it's a new challenge. None of them appeal to me, but they're always there, and I'm always willing to watch somebody make a fool of themselves.
There you
So,
go. Good.
so how did you? So I do this with everybody. I kind of want to know how you got down this myco rabbit hole. Whether it started more recently or this, as far back as you can remember, you love mushrooms. Wherever it
Mhm.
started, just hit us with how you came to be where you are now and as invested in mushrooms as you are now.
Yeah, totally. I've been dreaming about my answer to this question, and it's kind of a badass origin story, but I'll tell you who has a better origin story is Whitebeard. Shout out to him. Um, but so when I was 13 years old, I was at like summer camp or some sort of class or something, and somebody had leaned over to me and they're like, "Hey, bro, did you know you can grow mushrooms like under your bed and like with spores that you just get shipped to Arizona? You got to go get the spores and you kind of come back, get a grow kit and get them." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can like they're psychedelic too. They make you hallucinate and all that." And I'm like, "Well, you got to add something to them, right? You obviously have to. They don't just grow like that, right?" And, no, man. So like from there, I really got interested, kind of trying to ask my mom and dad for like a microscope and get an excuse to like study spores. You know what I'm saying? But never really panned out. So I was lucky enough to have like a horse, and I kind of would like look around like the horse stables, and I would just like constantly keep my eye open and looking for what to find. And here in Southern California, you don't hear of too many cubensis being found like out here in the wild. So ended up kind of letting that dream go, and moved with my dad to Kansas when I was like 18, and kind of life passed me by, and some things kind of happened the way that they did. And when I was 25, so a couple years ago, somebody on a Facebook group called Psychedelic Playground, they had messaged me, and they're like, "Hey man, you know how easy it is to grow mushrooms? Like and it's cheap too. You can start up with like $50, and like here's what you need, and da da da." They had recommended the Willie Myco podcast, PG or Willie Myco YouTube, PGT, and 90-second mycology, and I really kind of clicked with 90-second mycology and PGT, uh, as well as he recommended humble fungus a little bit later, but so I spent that whole year just kind of like just listening, just building up my knowledge, building up my repertoire, and then I finally came to this conclusion where I'm like, you know what, like I'm gonna do it. Like I'm just gonna do it. I think I'm ready. So I started with from Gordo Tech. I started with the Panoleus cyanescens, and none of those worked out. And I lost the original print as far as I can remember. I don't remember seeing it in my little treasure trove of genetics. But really, after that, which was like February of last year, when I first put spores to agar, I got an opportunity to like fruit them out, and I kind of moved up north. Was staying with a buddy for a while, and I ended up being able to kind of do everything that I had been learning for the past year, like there, like physically just doing it and going over the videos again. And when I got my first mushrooms, man, like I was like it got me pretty good. And the cloning was really interesting because I started trying to go after little small squatty mushrooms from the bin, like that have been like kind of stuffed in that microclimate, so they're small. But I became interested in Gymnopilus luteolus like after my first grow, like around the fall of last year. And you know, I am so grateful for my first grow to be cubensis. And I'm sure it would be just as grateful if it was oysters or turkey tail or something. But I was like, this is nice, pretty much. Like, I want to go into something else. You know, and what kind of caught my eye was Gymnopilus luteolus. This just bright orange mushroom. You know, reading about wild mushrooms in the area. Oh, and I forgot to say, when I was ready, first from the spore to agar, like the guy that initially hit me up was like, okay, well, join this group. And the first comment that I saw was, yeah, somebody helped me out when I first started growing. So if anybody wants genetics, let me know and I'll send you a print. And I hit him up. I'm like, I'm new. Like, maybe can I get like a print? And he sent me a print of Lizard King. By the way, he kind of thumbed up the little to shout him out. So shout out to Thomas Keegan.
Nice.
Cool guy. And yeah, I mean, like I still have that original print, and I found my first Gymnopilus luteolus January 3rd of this year. After just doing some simple research, I think all I did was look on the shroomery and a few like comparison videos on YouTube. And what's so that's kind of how I got into all of this. And and I like, I've grown the shoe boxes. I haven't done a monotub. I've done a monotub of Enigma. I think I got too excited after my first Lizard King grow, and there's Enigma culture lying around. So I was like, oh, I can do this, and got it all in the monotub, and then fucking trike. So sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah.
You're not the first person to swear on this podcast, dude. It's all good.
Well, my dad was in the Navy, so I love to use that excuse. I'm the son of a sailor. You know, I can't help myself.
It's
it's
Dad's fault. That's what I do too. So I also understand wanting a challenge, and when you feel like, okay, cool, I've done this, now I want to try something else. I feel like you didn't waste any time to get there. You grew cubes and you were like, I want something harder, I want something different. I mean, is that like your style? When I was really young, that was definitely my style. Like if everybody was growing cubes, then I'm going to have to be the guy growing pans. I'm going to have to be the guy growing gyms or whatever. Do you feel like that's just kind of who you are, or was there something specific about them that just
there is the call, the call to the gym, that I feel like I personally feel like pulled towards Gymnopilus, and
nice.
To be lucky enough to live in an area where they're nearby, like, and easily collected, is a bonus, because this mushroom, this specific luteolus, doesn't even have a colloquial name. So I kind of feel excited to be and enthused to be kind of forging some new ground.
That's
and
awesome.
at the same point in time, Lizard King, this American cubensis variety, man, like I'm pretty sure I can get every possible phenotype with cubes, like from just like a brown cap. Like if you work with it for 20-30 years, like I would imagine that you'd be able to kind of pull them all out. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of like they do it enough for me to just have them be my only cubensis that I keep in the lab, just the Lizard Kings. And
well, so I want to say one thing. I just got done talking to somebody else who will I think by the time this podcast airs, he will already have been on, and we had this similar conversation about how much is to be gained from not trying to grow every cultigen. Just pick one or two, really become an expert on them. So hey, if you found the one you love. Now, I've also had people on this podcast who say Lizard Kings are the best they've ever had, and it doesn't get any better than that. So, you could do way worse, that's for sure. So If you love lizard kings, it's all good. Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they look very similar to Treasure Coast when I was doing some little spore shopping. So I don't know what the connection is there, but I've been getting a lot of leucistics, a lot of little like just very very lightly tinted mushrooms.
Nice, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Lizard King is does it for me. As far as I'm concerned. But yeah.
So how about this? Do you want to? You sent me some pictures of some of your gyms. Let's take a quick look at some of them.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
And then let's really get into that. I think there's a lot to be said for this call of. I mean, it's great that if you liked them and it just so happened that they are in your area, I mean, that's very serendipitous. But I would also encourage a lot of people to, if you love growing mushrooms, and you like to wander around the woods and go on hikes, you might as well get to know the fungal diversity in your area, at least the macro fungi, and start figuring it out. Submit to Mushroom Observer, iNaturalist, build up an understanding of what's in your area. So let's get into this here. Let me pull up.
Cool.
So I'm going to start with, you sent me a couple from Mission Valley. Is that a good start?
Yeah, that's a great start.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to comment that gyms are not necessarily hard. Ooh, this is a perfect picture to start with. But
right.
Gyms aren't necessarily harder to grow than cubensis, but you just don't want to grow them like cubensis. So you're going to get sparse fruits and stuff.
Okay.
So this is actually extremely interesting. This was in like Mission Canyon Trails, Mission Valley Trails, or whatever. I don't remember the exact park name. But I got this little guy from like the main grouping, and it kind of like started turning blue before like the forage was over with, and so I once I got back home, I took a picture of it. I'm like, man, that is definitely that's a blue guy. And by the morning it was completely black. It was just saturated with the oxidized psilocybin. So when people just say, when you just come across information about this mushroom, oh, it's weaker than cubensis, oh, it's about the same strength but not really, like the kind of dude, like wild cubensis, that's a fairly strong mushroom, a medium strength mushroom. And so it's the same as to be said about a wild Gymnopilus. So if you can take Gymnopilus genetics and do the same work that people do on cubensis, then I mean, geez, like of course you can imagine the potency that come from some of those phenos.
So what you're saying is they work.
Oh yeah, definitely. This bluing is a huge indication of that. And I've also ate some from the wild. Eat them on an empty stomach because I kind of tricked myself out of a trip. But I'd still, they're definitely psychoactive. The gyms that I found.
Nice.
Yeah, so this is the same. This is what came from that little abort, right? So Alan Rockefeller has actually said that there is a lighter colored Gymnopilus luteolus that hasn't been like sequenced or identified yet, and I believe this to be it. I was kind of walking through the bush, and this is, by the way, Artemides californica, the substrate that is growing on. And I was walking through the bush, and I was with a buddy, and I'm like, yeah, man, I don't think we're gonna find anything around like these shrubs. They're just too aromatic. And as soon as I had said that, I looked down and boom, there's what I was looking for, what I was there for. And if you got the closer picture of that, man, like
let's see.
They just look like freaking tangerines, or like yellow colored strawberries or something, man. Like I just want to eat them. But be careful, because this species can also kind of occasionally be confused with Galerina marginata. But my easiest like indicator that it's not that, and it's definitely not that, is the scales on the top. Like you can see, which is actually, I think Gymnopilus has some, some indicator of a scaly cap in the Latin etymology of the name. But yeah, if you see scales on there, you're good. Like because just simply Galerina doesn't do that. They don't have scales. And I'm only and before I go too far into saying this, like you're good, you're good. This really only, as far as I know, I don't want to speak with any authority on this because I haven't been to the East Coast, but I feel like this only really occurs on the West Coast. There are possibly some gyms on the East Coast that don't have scales. So another layer of caution if you're an East Coast forager and you're interested in this mushroom at all. But yeah, like part of what's really cool about this, right? So I lost the genetics. I made 4 no pores, and I cloned the tissue of this. And then I got kicked out of where I was living because I didn't like mark a chore that was done. And it was that simple. And so that's okay, but what kind of really sucks to this very day is I left those 4 no pores like kind of on top of a cabinet, like way out of sight, and they threw those away. I came back together. Oh yeah, like I left something really important there, like amidst the chaos. Can I get those back? Oh yeah, we threw those away. Man, like my scientific research, man. But so here's what
they don't understand. The non-mycophiles just don't understand.
No, it's such a treasure to come across it though, and I'll be back to try and locate it next January. I see these throughout. I see these on Mushroom Observer. I use Mushroom Observer because I use my phone a lot. I'm out in the field, and I just got a laptop yesterday, so I'll probably start to use the the iNaturalist more. But I can't configure the app or the website. To me, it's just not user friendly in my opinion. For somebody who's just taking pictures and uploading after the next. And but how I justify this, right? So my first mushroom was cubensis that was sent to me, right? Well, disregarding that, there are like if you go on, I know somebody who got it sent through inoculatetheworld.com, but if you go on a lot of spore websites and stuff, those non-personal, just like, oh, I want to grow mushrooms, I'm going to just look up like where to buy spores. A lot of them will say cannot ship to California, Georgia, and Idaho, right? Because the powers that be don't want you even having a spore that could eventually turn into a psilocybin containing mushroom. God forbid, you have a safe experience for a few hours that changes your perspective. But my indemnification comes from really part of the Constitution, which is we're guaranteed the right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. May not be saying that word for word, but like foraging and taking like genetic samples in the wild simply demonstrates my pursuit of happiness, and I'll continue to exercise this right because I'm so passionate about it.
I'm right there with you, dude. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Definitely. Let's look at a few other slides.
All right.
Yeah, that's the same one. So what's also interesting about this one is that you can see it actually has a partial veil, like which is really like on all the other Gymnopilus that I'm going to show you guys. There's not a there's like a small veil remnants, like from like kind of similar comparing to Psilocybe subagnerosa. But it's never this distinct. It's never ever this distinct on any of the ones that I've found, and I found a few. I found plenty. But that's what's really interesting about this guy.
Yeah. So this, really, I mean, I haven't heard Alan talk about this lighter colored version of this gem, but this looks like it could be that.
Oh yeah, I hope it is. And he's talked about it on like just small comments and stuff here and there through like wood lovers Facebook groups, and and some foraging stuff here and there when people are, he's a gym guy himself. I think he's an all mushroom guy, but
He's a everything guy for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's hard to
Yeah.
be specific, but it was a pleasure talking with him before he went on his trip to Ecuador. And I was thinking about going, but honestly, it'd be better to just save for Telluride. But yeah, when he knew that I was interested, then we had like about a 45-minute conversation and know a few of the same people, and kind of briefly touched on Gymnopilus. So yeah, that was fun.
Nice. Yeah, we got to figure out, is it Gymnopilus? Is it Gymnopilus? Who knows? We just got to go back in time and ask some Roman guy how to say it.
Oh yeah,
Then we'll know.
the world may never know.
Exactly. All right, so we got some more Mission Valley.
Hmm.
Let me pull them up here.
Oh, beautiful.
So,
Yeah, so that's also bluing as well. That
let's see it.
I yeah, I think that was the only one that blued that deeply. And by the time I brought it back to the hotel, I it was very deeply blue, right? Since I got these from the wild, I had about 5 others that were the exact same size. I kind of peeled them a little bit. I peeled like the outer layer off, right, and like kind of washed it into the sink, and just kind of started macking down with some potato chips and some caps and some stems, and then then I kind of waited an hour and then got like a burger and then put it on the burger, and then it was a nice dreamy state and it was very interesting. But like I think I said earlier, I should have kind of waited and just not ate, just kind of ate them all at once, and to get the full beateth of the experience with these gyms, because they also have a nicotine receptor antagonist, no, inhibitor, called gymnopilin, which
Oh,
for like
I didn't
20
know
years
this.
people thought it was like a neurotoxin or something, but no, it's just a nicotine receptor inhibitor. So theoretically, I feel like, man, maybe if these mushrooms are to be used for medicine, in like a bigger context than just like some few exotic growers, that it could be really beneficial for people who have a smoking addiction. And we've seen psilocybin mushrooms, just psilocybin, cubensis, or just psilocybin itself, able to help with that. So this might actually kind of be like some sort of like a ibogaine type thing, where it's like where it just kind of just resets all, just cleans those receptors off, right, and gets it cleaned off and ready for your next decision. Am I going to build that circle back, that circuit of compulsive behavior, or am I just going to break it and quit?
Yeah, man. The whole alkaloid profile thing, that's coming up. I actually have a project in the works to try to do some early research around that. But I think once legalization, at least decriminalization, sits in, you might see some of the big pharma guys are probably going to go hog wild on understanding all these alkaloid profiles and all the secondary alkaloids and what they're actually doing. We just don't even know yet. It's so early in the research on this stuff, but it will be very exciting to see what we do start figuring out about the interplay between all of them and how they affect the trip. And I
I
can't wait to see all that.
I concur. Shout out to Dr. Wayback, your guest before. I love that episode. I absolutely love it. And I had to watch it 3 times in a row. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had to watch his hour and 45 segment like 3 times in a row. And like okay, this is what's going on in the brain. All right,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, man,
yeah.
that was a powerhouse episode. That was great.
Mhm.
I mean, how often do you have an ex neurosurgeon slash psilocybin advocate come in and just break down like all the new research on traumatic brain injuries and
Mhm.
psilocybin effects on default mode network? I mean, it was such a
Excellent.
great episode. I had such a
Fabulous.
blast. Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. We got
Okay.
more Gymnopilus here.
Yep. Those be them. Yeah, that was found. I was putting out flyers from some guy who I tried not to pay me for my labor, but when I was putting out flyers, like I stopped and I groveled, like, and just thanked the earth. I'm like, oh my God, like, and literally, like, it's just some random person's house that I'm sitting. I didn't put a flyer on that person's door. because
Wow.
I was there for like
You're
15 minutes just taking pictures and just like, thank you, mushroom spirit. And
nice.
oh man, it's such a great find, man. This is probably the most grooviest, craziest find. And this is actually the find that I had taken those nice fatty ones and took them back to the hotel and had a little chow.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's just the underside of those mushrooms, and so they were growing kind of like on the base of the palm tree, like. And I've heard some person say before that they think it might just be growing off of the decaying palm roots,
Okay.
and of course, since there's all this wood chips, mixed about, they're they're in the wood chips. But look at palm stumps. Don't look at like fully grown palms. Like they might occur there, but like their favorite substrate, as far as I've been able to tell, is the Gymnopilus, as the Archimedes californica,
Mm-hmm.
and palm stumps, with like
Interesting.
some wood chip
Okay.
beds or something.
All right.
Gorgeous. Oh,
Look at that. That one's perfect. That one in the
and
middle there.
yeah, and so you can see on this little curved guy that the cap kind of looks smooth, but no, if you really look hard on the edges, you can see the scales there, and you can be
I see
sure that
it.
that's
I
the
see it.
Gymnopilus luteolus. Gorgeous little strawberry guys. This is why I like the species so much, is because when they're so young and when they're pitting like that, they're just like little freaking strawberry caps, with the exception to that one that I had found in the Mission Valley County Park or whatever. They seem to be orange from
Hmm.
birth.
But you're saying usually they're darker, like the strawberry.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. Same thing. That's kind of the substrate they're growing off of. They've been growing there for a while, because you can see some black guys, black little mushrooms just kind of decompose
Yeah,
up in
withered
there.
away.
Hmm. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
so
that
when you
was.
say a stump, you mean literally like an old palm stump. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Um. And that's kind of more what I'm talking about. You see the withered mushroom underneath those
Mm-hmm.
pink guys. And once they just get just a little past that age, and they start kind of turning more cream colored, kind of orangish, yellowish, whatever you want to. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So
Yeah.
then you sent me some that were labeled from La Mesa.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, that was my first one. That was my first Gymnopilus luteolus find, and I just want to encourage everyone to try and like remain in the flow as much as possible. I had just lost on New Year's. I had just because some new guy at the storage unit that I had been at for like 4 years, I just lost my storage unit. He
Okay.
decided to like kick me out, and it was just really crappy. But um, I'm like, all right, well, and I'm living at the sober living at the time, right? And I only have like this big old cupboard, so I'm like, I'm just taking all my mycology stuff. I'm gonna take a couple sweaters and some pants, some underwear, some socks, but I'm taking all of my mycology stuff. This is what I've been studying for 2 years. I'm just running it. I'm just gonna like live this life, and and see where it takes me, and just try and be as unafraid as possible. So I figured the first thing I needed was, since I didn't have a storage unit at the anymore, and I had to let a lot of stuff go. I put all my mycology stuff in the cupboard, in the sober living stuff, and I figured I needed a PO box. So here in La Mesa, or there in La Mesa, I got a PO box, and I was walking down to it, right? Like, or I'd called around or whatever, found one I wanted to go to, and I was walking down to it, and this was just right down the street from my sober living. There was like one,
Wow.
like, yeah, and then it was boom, it was right there. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't know what it was at first. I took some pictures of it and put it on a Mushroom ID. And, this really cool French guy was yeah, Gymnopilus luteolus. And I was like, what? And like I ran back. Like after I was done at the post office, I ran back. And I was like, please be there, please be there. Like they were going to freaking disappear. People who aren't mushroom people don't care about these mushrooms that are growing on the side of the road or the
I
ground or
hear
something.
you. So I'll tell you a quick story. So there's down the road, there's a mountain bike trail I hit up quite a bit. And there was an old decaying tree that for 2 years in a row had just the most astounding flushes of gold oysters. I would go out there, I'd go mountain biking, I'd bring 2 garbage bags, I'd fill them up, I'd come home, I'd come back the next day, fill them up. I'd take all these, I'd give them away to family and friends,
Nice.
and just the most spectacular flush. And enjoyed this 2 years in a row. And then the 3rd year, it must have decayed past the point of usefulness for them. And when I came back, I went every day mountain biking, just thinking they should be hitting now. This is when they hit. Why haven't they bloomed? So sad.
Yeah. Oh dear.
When that honey pot goes away, man, it's a sad day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's hope it never goes away, or the spores spread, or we get more
Yes.
people trying to do outdoor patches and stuff, and naturalize these things.
So now, am I seeing this right? Is this also growing right out of a palm stump?
Yeah, this is growing out of the cracks, like in the
Cool.
palm stump, like this. Yeah, just cracked and just went.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they're just pretty morphology, and I think I had posted that on my stories on Instagram, and I was like, oh yeah, Gymnopilus luteolus, and somebody from SD Myco was like, oh, I'd get that sequence before you decide to eat it, and like I was like, I don't care, like, no, I mean, I do, and it's very serious to get, but I was so thoroughly kind of invested in this mushroom that I was like pretty sure, other than, I mean, like literally people help, like Facebook groups, stuff like that. It helps if you get, these pictures for identification. You can get them and get it identified with some fair amount of confidence. I took spore prints of those. I don't know if it's normal for somebody to like on Facebook to be like, yeah, I got like 3 different wood lover spores, whatever, like just pay for the shipping, and then you like pay for the shipping or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, no, like it didn't go through, here, let me refund you, whatever. But you also had like a trade going on, and I sent them a print of Gymnopilus luteolus, and they're on the East Coast. And then they blocked me. So like either their pandering game for $5 was on point, or they were just a really secretive mushroom grower and they wanted some genetics of gyms. So
yeah, man, I'm real careful about that stuff now. I got screwed over so many times, and luckily now I know people that are trustworthy and have reputations. So you can always get some weird stuff from Nicky Myco. He's always, if he doesn't have it, he can get it, and he knows all the guys, all the local people, and all the places. So he's always a good place to get some odd stuff from. The random dude you don't know him. You don't know what he's gonna do. He might come through. He might not. Yeah, this is how it is.
Yeah, we're all random.
On the internet, we are all random. That is true. All right, so I think I have one more. I have a Poway Saber Springs. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, this is my last batch of gym photos here.
Okay.
Oh, look at these.
Oh yeah, little strawberries poking out. Yeah, that was on a they put these little wooden retainers along this trail, and that was in like a little area where, I mean, they were growing all along this wooden little retainer, popping out on the sides and stuff. And but yeah, man, that God, dude, like that's a really good photo. I'm glad it made it to you. I'm glad to be sharing that.
Yeah, that one's
they're
awesome.
just so pretty. They're so pretty. Wouldn't you love to grow some of these your own? Grow them like wood lovers though.
I like them. Oh, I'm gonna try to grow these for sure. We're gonna, because I know I got some stuff you want, and if you got some of this, we're gonna have to make it happen. Plus, from what I hear, these suckers drop more spores than shiitake mushrooms. So no short supply of spores from these.
No, yeah, that's the cross section. Because I find it unique on all the cross sections that I've taken. Like they haven't, like, they're not pink on the inside. But I don't know. I mean, you can still positively ID it from that as a Gymnopilus luteolus. It doesn't have to have that pink. I don't know what you call it.
That coloration, streaking.
Yeah. If you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah, that little middle part from where the the pilus connects to the stipe like it's supposed to be pink or something, but it's not, and it rarely ever is, or it hasn't been in my experience. But yeah, that's yep. Then there they are, all along that retainer, and I have a video where I just literally walked along this retainer for like 20-30 feet, and just nothing but gyms.
Wow.
Yeah, gorgeous guys. There is I wish I had sent you the better pic of that, because there is a little bit of bluing on the cap, but there's only just slight bluing on like that edge facing me, and you can kind of see it, but yeah, this is, so it has like a barely fucking partial veil compared to the orange one from Mission Valley Mission Valley Park. Like that
Yeah,
one,
I mean, you can
definitely had a
see
distinct veil.
the remnants of the
Mhm.
veil, but yeah, not much.
Yeah. Yep. And
Wait, now
this
what
was
is
about,
this?
yeah, the same thing. But it was about I want to say half a mile down the way. About maybe 3/4 of a mile. Um, and they're all growing on this and I have not seen them since, but they popped up like one day, and then like a week later, like there's some more popping up. Or I was able to managed to get the rest of them or something, but uh, yeah, like
It's a
those.
lot right there.
Mhm. Yeah, there's plenty to go around, man. Fill your basket, man. Have a fun time. I made tea out of those actually.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so those uh when did I find those? But I found them in the same area. I know. But yeah, just a lot of heavy spore deposits on the caps themselves. Um and then that one, man, I sadly wasn't able to work with it right away, and by the time that I was trying to work with it and soak it in alcohol, get little like a fresh little, it was gone, super
Right.
bacterial, just nothing left, dude, to work with. But that's a squatty Gymnopilus luteolus, man. And like that right there, man, just seeing that
Someday.
from the wild, man, like it was just skyrocketed my dreams of cultivating this. And I actually sent that in a video to Dave Wombat, man. Shout out, he's super awesome. Just messaged him on Facebook and just, oh
Nice.
yeah, what's up, dude? Yeah,
so
just bouncing off ideas.
So when you said, hey, we got to talk about Gymnopilus luteolus, I said, okay, cool. I mean, I'd heard about it. I didn't know anything about it. I watched a bunch of videos. I had to look it up on Shroomery, and a bunch of guys have grown it, pretty successfully. I think the way you described it in the beginning is pretty spot on. It's not harder to grow than cubes. It's just a little different to grow.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, you got me excited, and they kind of look, the indoor cultivars look a little different. They express a little different, but kind of think that'll be a fun one.
Of course. And I'd like to also comment that Gymnopilus dilepis, according to like the latest info from Alan Rockefeller, like I said, he's interested in this mushroom, is likely like a synonym for luteolus. So when you
Cool.
see that, when you go on Shroomery and you see that one dilepis grow,
that might just be the luteolus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and if you want to get his attention and you're here in Southern California, try and find that light colored Gymnopilus luteolus and tell him about
do
it.
Yep, that'll do it. Cool, man. So okay, we got through the gym photos. You sent me, now this wasn't on our list of topics, but you sent me a photo of this, and I don't think we've ever shown a photo of this mushroom. So let's pull it up, and we'll tell the story and move on.
Ooh, yeah.
So what do we got?
I am so honored to find that, man. I've read a couple books on Muscaria. And
oh, we lost you. Oh, there you are. You're back. Okay.
So I went looking after being inspired of finding some mushroom observer posts of Pantherina and Jamata in the area. So I went looking for my own. I wanted to, experience what this mushroom is all about. And instead of finding a psychoactive one, I found a deadly poisonous one. And it was ironically like next to the Mormon church. So I don't know if like somebody had put a slurry out there and was like, yo, you want to ascend to the higher planets, man? You just got to go over there, man. Go look next to these trees. I joke, but yeah, funny. So I found a troop of them. And I was really
I did not know a distinguishing trait was that it likes to skateboard.
Yeah, man, they had a fun time on there, dude. They really went for a ride.
Very cool.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool little guys. Yeah, there's the original. And you know what was funny, man, is when I was just looking, like, you know, there was a sock on a stick, like an old you know, you find stuff when you're foraging, man. Like, you never know what you're gonna find, but there was a sock on a stick. It was just one sock. There was no other sock around, like, to match with it, to pair it with, but it had mushrooms on it. And it seemed to like be like pointing in the direct, like somebody had already stumbled across this and was like, oh, mushrooms.
That's very cool.
But yeah.
Well, that's a neat little find.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. That's like, I was encouraged when the president of SD Myco told me that, like, there's been people looking for that mushroom for like 30 years and they've only found like one. And you know,
what do they say? Beginner's luck, Josh. Beginner's luck. You just gotta, where there's a will, there's a way. You just got, like you said, being in the flow state, being open-minded.
Yeah.
You can't find any mushrooms you don't look for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked about gyms. You said you want to talk a little bit about ovoids, Psilocybe oviostostidata. All right, let's talk about them. I'm going to tell you right now, in 2 days, I'm going to be cruising down south here and I'm going to be hunting for some. A bunch of my buddies are finding a buttload of them. We just had a lot of rain and apparently they are just, you know, you're tripping over them.
That's so cool.
South here. So I'm hoping to get a whole bunch and get some fresh cultures. I currently have an ovoid culture I got from somebody else further Cincinnati area. But cool. I'm hoping to get some fresh ones and try to get them going.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm very interested in them because, as I said, like, I don't plan on branching out of the lizard king category of cubensis, but if it's possible to cross, since I guess phylogenetically, I've heard this multiple times, they're closer over to cubensis than they are like with some other wood lovers in the Psilocybe species. I feel like it could be possible. I don't know if it's been done with like the smash technique, right, or the ghetto swab, but like, I think that would be a fun cross. You know, just you know, not necessarily cubensis with cubensis, but like cubensis with ovoidiocystidita. And right. Yeah. That's
who knows,
kind of,
man. I mean, there's all sorts of new, you know, methods for crossing. Maybe somebody will figure out how to trick these different species into doing it. That would be very cool.
Snake venom
would be very cool.
But yeah,
now I didn't know, so I had to look it up because I know they're, you know, really prevalent in the Ohio River Valley through Pennsylvania. I know the type specimen was originally found somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But I didn't realize, I thought maybe they were in the Pacific Northwest, but they are. I looked it up on Mushroom Observer and there's, you know, they're all over California.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a little secret. Somebody who had the position before me let me know that at least one of those San Diego County Mushroom Observer Psilocybe ovoidiocystidita finds was likely somebody's patch. So
okay.
Yeah, but regardless,
yeah, they're growing there. That's cool.
Before the you know, the sun gets too hard to see. Can I show you? I'm right next to my outdoor Lizard King patch. Can I show you, man, my patch?
See. Oh, let's see it all.
Yeah, because man, dude, like,
Wild Lizard King. This is what I want to see, dude.
Right? And if I can get these to like naturalize, that'd be cool. But I don't think that's gonna happen. But I can for sure get ovoids to naturalize. So here we go. I'm gonna get nice and close and personal to my buddies. But I wish I could figure out how to flip the camera, but no matter.
I see him.
Is it over?
Is that a red cap?
No, this is my little guardian, dude. He's just being a good
I
soldier.
see now. Okay.
He's just guarding.
Man, I was like, what is that with a red cap? Oh, that's awesome, man.
This one. You got this one over here. But you know, they'll get over it. They'll survive.
So
So
this is you have generated this patch.
I have, yeah. And you know how I did it?
That's what I want to know.
I will tell you. I took a shoebox. When was it? It was right when it was around like January. It was around New Year's. And since I was getting kicked out of my storage and I was growing in my storage, I had a shoebox. I had one that was fruiting and I gave it to a buddy. No, I had three. I had one that was fruiting and I planted it way over there by Sabre Springs. I need to check on it. It's just out of my way, so I don't ever check on it. But right next to a river, so I'm kind of hoping that right next to a little creek, so I'm kind of hoping that the spores will, you know, carry down and find their perfect home, and that might be all it takes. You know, there's no humidity here, but anyway, so then I had one that I gave to a buddy, and then I had this one here that I just kind of dug a hole and then I just put it in, and I got some peat moss from the dollar store, and I put it over that like a couple weeks later or something, and and then it eventually had taken like just some straw to like throw over there, and then I'd like spray it with the water bottle until my fingers got tired, and you know, just kind of keep misting it, because that's actually how I got my first outdoor grow in the cannabis plant. But yeah, so I just would kind of mist it and spray it, and I had just misted it like, my bad, plural for mist, or whatever.
Misted it. That sounds
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Yeah, I just did that, and it's like a week or two ago, and you know, I was like, I'm gonna go check on this patch and kind of, you know, move it around a little bit, because I had seen pins there about a month ago, but I disturbed them too much and they died. They boarded on me. But and I look and I see this one white mushroom, and I'm like whoa, like. And it was so exciting for me and kept a smile on my face all day. Like I sent it to you because I was like, you know, like,
awesome.
Yeah, cool.
I remember that picture. At first I was like, okay, what is this, dude? But you explained it.
Yeah, freaking looks like almost like Amanita, dude. Like, careful. But there's no trees. There's just these shrubs. There's no trees around here, so we don't have to worry about any mycorrhizal.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just impressed you pulled it off in Southern California. I mean, I know the climate in San Diego, and I'm impressed. I think the scrub helps.
Oh yeah. It's a nice area. I think it's a perfect area,
nice.
for sure. Other than no humidity. So
right.
You heard me talk about the growing in my storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically, like, when somebody had recommended to me that I grow and how cheap it is, and to look into it and look into these podcasts, I was on drug court for attempted armed robbery that I didn't do, but it's on paper, and you know, that's the way a cookie crumbles. But essentially what happened is I was living in my single room occupancy, and I had like an adverse reaction to an anti-anxiety med. I don't dox people, but I will dox this medication, freaking Boost Bar. Trash.
Oh, yeah.
Garbage, dude. So I got kicked out of my SRO, and my doctor was like, oh, I think you're having an adverse reaction. You're going manic from the Boost Bar. You should probably stop it. And it was like too late. So I was on the streets, and I was thinking, well, you know, I haven't drank for a year and a half. Like, I'm trying to get into a sober living, you know? And in the meantime, I'm going to get some money up so I can get some weed and just kind of like have a nice little hurrah before I really have to start cutting down.
Right.
And I went up to somebody and I asked him for $1. And what you have in, like, for your American viewers who might not know this, and anybody else, out of the country, we have what's called a professional witness. So this guy was an off-duty SWAT EMT and a firefighter, and essentially his word goes. His word is held the same. This is what the lawyer said. That held the same as physical evidence. So even though they didn't find anything, and he lied about what I had said and where I was at, because I had offended him and maybe kind of dug up some of his prejudices, he basically called the cops. Said I walked up to him and pulled out a knife. Said, "Give me $1 or some money, or I'll cut you." Not even in my freaking vocabulary. And it's during COVID, right? So I wouldn't have a trial for a year, and they're like, "Oh, take this drug court thing, man. Like, like you have a problem with drugs or alcohol, right?" I'm like, "Not really. Like, I mean, I've been sober for a long time. I think I had like a beer on my birthday. Like, that's good enough. We'll take you, and if you complete the program, we'll dismiss the charge." They never did. So, I think about 6 months into the program, I decided that mushrooms and LSD is going to be a good medicine for me, and I think that's around the time when I started investigating, really like 6 to 12 months in, the whole mushroom thing, right? Like, and my initial decision to put spore into agar, being a Fourth Amendment waiver, meaning that they can come and search your room anytime, they can come and search your pockets, they can come and search, I felt like it was truly like the right thing to do. Is in my heart, like, to grow. And just the year before, I had actually done a microdosing regimen, and I always tell people, do a regimen, don't just microdose one mushroom or mini dose and think that's going to help you. Like, you have to do a regimen. It's so important. Literally, man. So I decided that, and I want to touch on that a little bit more if possible, but for now, to streamline things, I decided that, like, I was, if I'm doing wrong, like if I'm really doing wrong, and if I'm an evil man for growing these mushrooms that the society has said is illegal and stuff for at the moment, and I get caught and I do the 4 years or whatever, then that's the risk I'm willing to take, man. Like, I don't know why I'm so passionate about this risk. I think it has like kind of it's in the same kind of mindset of those investigative journalists, right? And people who go and they find like weed seed genetics and stuff, and they like, they got like top tier, like excessive like they can access like a helicopter to look for like the best weed and stuff, and then but they're on like gang territory, and it's like super dangerous to like get kidnapped or whatever, or, like arrested or something, and they just live it because they're trying to share this with other people. So if I'm a huge, so basically what happened with that was I ended up fruiting mushrooms on probation. I went to jail for missing a group, and that's just simple stuff like that, man. I never gave them a dirty test, and it's just simple stuff. So then they told me that I wasn't going to make the program anyway. And oh, by the way, we never said that we're going to dismiss your charges, that like on the completion of drug court, is that like when you complete drug court or probation, then you have to go through a third party and you can petition to get your charge dismissed. And it's all a freaking word jumble and legalese and stuff. And I wasn't aware of it when I signed the papers. So I was like, oh man, this sucks. So just give me that probation thing or whatever, And so I was on probation, and I went to thankfully they just let you out too. Like, so I'm like literally in the same freaking, I'm just like on the streets now. I'm like, whoa, like, and thankfully a buddy had taken me in. And despite his best efforts, I don't think he was like in tune with himself as a lot of people should be in the community, to where like it became abusive, and the minute it became physically abusive, I left. I chose to preserve my dignity and my self-worth, and anywhere was better than there. So I went on the streets, and then I looked into a sober living and got in there. I went to visit my dad for a week, and I didn't send them to you, but I actually found some gold oysters in Kansas, like in December. Nice. It was really fun. But yeah, just came back, and he was like, oh yeah, you didn't tell me you were leaving, so I kicked you out. And I'm like, whoa. So I was on the streets for a week, and then I got into another sober living. And this is around the same time when like when I got booted from my storage, and then I got kicked out for the not signing a chore, right? So I'm off paper now and everything. But I mention all this because like it worked for me. It might not work for you. But if you feel the same drive that I felt that got me to start, then do it. Please do it. Because please start growing, because it's so helpful to be part of this hobby and part of the community, and working on myself and kind of growing at the same time, and learning patience and endurance, and um and having something to kind of look forward to, and to it's just so worth whatever type of hell that they want to construct, when you see like the heaven that you're capable of just being aware of, being around when you open your eyes, when you like, this is
Yep.
amazing, man. And I'll be honest, man, I'm in between houses right now, right? Somebody had hit me up the other day, and was like, yeah, Josh, I was just wondering, and I kind of already knew, like, I was thinking, oh, they're gonna ask me for some mushrooms, and I'm just wondering if you have any spores, and if you can teach me how to grow. And I was like, oh my God, that makes me so excited. You're the second person to ask,
That's
and
great.
I totally can help you with that. So I know it's getting a
Man,
little bit dark and it's a little bit hard
I
to see
love
here,
hearing all that. That's,
but yeah.
I mean, look, I could not agree more. I can't tell you how many people in my Discord say the cultivation practice itself is as therapeutic as the medicine is.
Oh yeah.
So I think that together it's such a wonderful, powerful therapy overall. I'm here for the tidal wave of people that are about to, experience this paradigm shift and give it a try. And I love having you on to be able to explain to people, like, yes, if you're thinking about it, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, go for it.
Please, because like one of the main challenges that I have, right? I'm gonna flip over to my notes about challenges. I got rewards and growing and challenges and all that, but one of my main challenges is having a place to cook my grains, like to plug in I use an Instant Pot,
Right.
right? I use an Instant Pot Duo crisp. So that was
Hmm.
$50 at Target.
Yeah.
Boom, I can sterilize 3 pints and a half pint at a time. Just plugging it in is like really difficult, and like I've asked churches, like I've kind of negotiated with friends and stuff, and it's just it's a difficult thing. So in the meantime, when nothing's getting sterilized, I had like a point where I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna try Broke Boy again. And it didn't work for me when I was living with that dude up north. When I tried it with rice, I tried the Broke Boy tech with rice. Even though I had a PC,
Hmm.
I just tried that. I tried a pasta tech. I'm gonna revisit the pasta tech with some orzo pasta, but um, it didn't work. So I'm like, all right, let me just try it again, right? So I tried it, and I sterilized. I think I sterilized it like, or whatever, pasture. Broke Boy teched it for 2.5 hours. And I did a half pint of barley.
All right.
And yep, and I put a little bit of coffee grounds in there, and man, that thing had been sitting for a month and a half, 2 months, before I'm like, I'm just gonna inoculate this thing, man, because it's not growing any sort of bacteria or contamination. And um, yeah, so if just if nothing else, just send it, just fucking send it with what you got, and you can do it. And you can do it no matter what. If you're on probation, if you're living with your parents, if you're in between homes, you can start. I promise you, you can start from ground zero and work yourself all the way up. And you can find a niche, man. Like you found your sterilizer thing, right? And
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
maybe a couple other things that I'm not thinking of right now. But people have their agar pouring. I have my
Right.
chocolate, man. I have my chocolate, and I love, and I yeah. The only disappointing thing about chocolate is if you don't use it within a couple months, man, like it starts to degrade its potency.
Right.
Do you have a picture of the Millennium Falcon, by the way?
I think that was one of the ones that didn't go through, but let me see.
Oh.
Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Hold on. Here's what I'll try to do. I think I can get this up here. All right. We're doing edits in real time, guys. Hold on one second.
Let me see if I can move up a little bit too and get a little. The sun's pretty much setting, man. I hope you don't mind talking to a black screen.
I don't. Well, we're rounding the bend here. I got to go to bed. I got to work in the morning. So we got just a few more minutes, but let me see if I can get this screenshot of this up here for you. I think I can do it. Oh, there you found a little more light.
Yeah.
All right, here I got it. Let me. All right, pull off the overlay. All right, is that the one?
Boom. Yep, that's the one.
Very
yeah, I
cool.
was very proud of that. I tempered that in the Instant Pot, and if anybody has successfully tempered chocolate in the Instant Pot, post it on YouTube. Make an instructional video. Post that on YouTube because it has not been done yet, and I haven't had the time to do it, but I love it. And I'll tell you my secret. I go from 118 to 80 to 90, and I just play around with the times until I get tempered chocolate. And
interesting.
you know, I just have the chocolate in a little plastic bag, no vacuum thing needed, and you just melt it at those temperatures, and pour it out into a bowl full of your mushrooms. Kind of mix them in, and then pour it into molds, and you're good.
That's awesome, man. Dude, I want to eat a Millennium Falcon chocolate bar.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, that'll take you to hyperspace, that's for sure.
Like literally and figuratively, yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I throw away a lot of contam though. Like, or not a lot, but as soon as I see trike, dude, it's gone. I throw them outside. I give them to nature, you know, and let them do their thing. But yeah, man, the rewards of growing though, like being focused, man, like I'm mostly smiles. I got told today, is like, dude, like every time I see you, you always got a smile on your face. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, because I got mushrooms growing like right over there.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, and then the money that you can make, you know, it can help somebody.
Yeah.
You know, edible and gourmet. By the way, shout out to Basidios for he gifted me some Agaricus blazei, and I'm freaking super stoked to put that to do some grain to grain and put that to straw.
Nice.
But yeah, this hobby keeps me inspired, you know, and I'm always looking to photograph and sequence specimens. I've sent some specimens to Alan Rockefeller and Stephen Russell. It was cool to see him on.
Nice.
And I was like, oh my god, I had a conversation with that dude.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, so let me tell you this. I am very inspired. You know, you've just, the minute you got into it, you went nonstop. That's a story I can relate to. I'm kind of the same way. I wish you well. I know the law, man, it's not nice. The law is not nice. It's always going to trip you up. It's always going to try to put you down. It's always going to try to make things difficult. But man, the mushrooms definitely they're a wonderful ally. They keep you grounded. I just talked to Fun Guy Mycology about this, how grounded, you know, when you come out of a trip and you just realize that everything is okay. And no matter where you're at, you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like that, like aloha, hang loose, kind of like, don't worry about
cool.
it.
Yeah, I mean, just please respect the set and setting. I actually haven't done the hero dose, but I've done too much LSD, and it's not good if you don't respect the set and setting. I mean, I have a beautiful relationship with that chemical now. But I heard you talk about when I was repeating Whitebeard's podcast this morning. I heard you talk about like it's clear. Like there's just like a 2-second spot where you're just like, yeah, I wish more people would do this because the message it's pretty clear. And like I was like, oh, there it is, you know, like yeah, you just feel it, you know. I got a couple questions for yourself and some viewers that I don't have time to, I don't know, I just haven't. What is Sinesse? What is Sinesse and what is drippy corn?
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I like this. I never had a guest have some questions, so this is cool. All right. So senescence is the idea that the vigor of the culture that you're working is being lost through the multiple transfers, through just its life in the lab, so to speak. Some things some species senesce quicker than others. I honestly don't think it's a huge issue with cubes. I do experience a little bit of it if I put them in cold storage for any length of time. I feel like I never quite have the same vigor that I used to after putting it in cold storage. I really don't. My experience hasn't been that it's too bad with an active culture that you're working and reworking. If, every few months instead of just keeping that same culture on a plate, if you're doing regular grows, I just talked to Jeff Karras about this, where he goes, like every few months, I will regrow a culture and then continue that culture through a new clone of it and then grow that out, make sure I still like how it looks. So senescence is that idea that, and I'm paraphrasing it. You could look up the scientific definition, but it's the idea that something loses its potency, its vigor, and it just doesn't grow as well.
Cool.
If you've ever
Okay.
just had a culture just piddle out on you, like for some reason, like it used to just be a banging culture on a plate, you're like, man, this is like the best culture. I had this happen with a 8412, where it's just the most gorgeous, perfect culture on a plate. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, it just stopped looking like that. And so then I had to go back to spore and get it back. But yeah, so that's senescence. And then drippy corn, that's just corn, good old corn prep. So it's a 2-cook prep. Some people boil the first cook, they just dump a bunch of popcorn in a pot. Boil it for, I know Dave Wombat does it this way. He boils it for about 45 minutes. I do 2 pressure cooks. So my first pressure cook is for about 18 minutes at 15 PSI. And that just rapidly hydrates the corn. And then your second cook, you strain it, you jar it, you pressure cook it. But in that first cook, if you pour like a shot glass worth of corn syrup in, that's where you get your drippy corn. So it's like you're sugaring, you're souping it up. And the idea is that, as that corn boils in the pressure cooker, it's soup, you got the saturated, like sticky water is now the sugar water is hydrating into the kernels. So the idea is that it should be sugarier than it normally is. Popcorn in and of itself colonizes pretty fast. I would say it's some of the faster grain to colonize. But when you put the sugar in that first cook, it is lightning fast. I've had full colonization in quart jars with 2 shakes and a recovery in 7 to 8 days.
Dang.
It's light. You'll do your first shake in 2 days.
Wow.
It's crazy. So
I might have to.
Oh,
I might have to run some. Yeah, either that or some drippy barley, man, because barley's slower than heck, but it has like the second highest tryptophan content of any grain. I think millet maybe was the first, or something.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I think the tryptophan idea is worth exploring for sure. I don't hear too many people talking about that.
Can I mention cardboard clones and how, like, on cubensis they're not necessarily like people. I hear it a lot that, like, oh well, it lacks nutrition and it sucks because it lacks nutrition. I think sometimes, like, if you just use the wrong cardboard, like it won't work very well. But if it's a matter of nutrition, like, why not hydrate it with some grain water or some, like,
easy.
It totally makes sense to supplement it. And if it doesn't work, then I'd like to find out why. And I think that wouldn't be too hard.
Dude, I love that. So here's what I'm looking forward to. I think you're going to keep doing cool stuff. I think you're going to figure some of this stuff out, and we're going to have you back on, and we're going to have to talk about more stuff.
Yeah. Well, that would be, an excellent honor, man. Double down on that.
That would be cool. All right, man. Well, it was great having you on. We'll have to do it again. Keep me updated. We're going to have to do some trades. Good luck in finding housing, because yeah, man, you got to have a house to cook some of this grain. Yeah, you
San
just
Diego,
really do.
man. San Diego, dude. It's
Yeah.
it's hard. It's
It
hard.
is tough. It is tough. All
Yeah.
right, man. Well, I will talk to you later. Thanks again for being on, and keep me updated on how things are going.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on.
All right, dude.
Goodbye.
All right. Much love.
Mhm.
All right, guys. That was Joshua Barnhart. He's working with the San Diego Mycological Society right now. Really appreciate hearing him talk about his personal life, his struggles, and the way that mushrooms have kind of in many ways been like a trellis, a crutch, a salvation, a point of healing. I think that's really wonderful. It was very cool. He was the first guest I've ever had who's been out and about in nature, which is kind of nice. Anyway, so thanks again for tuning in. Next week, we're going to have some other wonderful, amazing person who loves mushrooms as much as we all do. And I can't wait to bring them on and have you guys learn about them. So until then, happy mushroom cultivation, and we'll see you soon.